Jeez, where's my pictures?
This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net. It is Tuesday afternoon, which means it is time for What in the World with
Paul Seaburn. Hi, Karen.
Hi,
How are you?
how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm here with Karen Hale, our producer and media mogul at newclevelandradio.net, helping out with What in the World, and also our good friend and sports guy, John DiNallo. Hi, John.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Karen. Another week and
How
another
are you?
show.
That's right. That's right. That's what we're here for. Another week, another show, another week in the world of weird, as maybe we should say. I don't know. And what do we say? What in the world? Always real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our goal. So yeah, everybody's here at One in the World. If you're watching us live, thanks for joining us on YouTube. If you're watching us in the future, thanks for tuning in, either on YouTube. If you're listening on whatever platform, thank you for joining us. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, even tell the people who aren't going to vote the same way you are, because we let everybody in on our show. Our goal is
universal.
To have fun.
Universal, right?
That's right. Universal fun, John. I think we ought to start a religion. Universal fun. We're going to talk about religion today, by the way, but but in a good way. Remember, there's no politics, no business, no bad news. If we say anything about the virus, it'll be in jest, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and get it a little distraction from all the bad things that are going on in the world. So
That's
our goal,
a
right,
very
Karen?
good. It's a very good mission statement for us.
Yeah, that's right. A good mission statement. Thank you, John. So let's get right to it, because as always, this is another week in weird. Even without politics and all that other stuff. I start with the Space Force, one of my favorite, in fact, my favorite military branch now, the Space Force. It turns out the Space Force is being deployed, so we're going to find out a little bit about that. Another candy company, not Willy Wonka, but another candy company has opened a chocolate factory, and they have a fountain that you have to see to believe. And fortunately, I have visual aids, so we're going to talk about that.
Great. All right.
Yeah. Color?
It's
color. Color.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's even better.
No free samples. I'm sorry, no free samples.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
And speaking of candy, I've got a story about a guy who was buried in gum. So we're going to find out a little bit about that. It's a good thing.
Fun.
It's a good thing. We're going to hear about the Mutant Kardashians. One of the Kardashians, it turns out, is actually a mutant. So we're going to find out a little bit. Yeah, that's John, are you a fan of the Kardashians?
I am not. I can honestly say I don't know anything about them. I kind of know who they are, but I do not follow them whatsoever.
Well, John, at your next meeting, I'm going to have some trivia for you about a mutant Kardashian that you'll be able to baffle your friends with. So.
Wow.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
And then we go to Japan. We go all over the world. We go to Japan. They have haunted toilets in Japan. So we're going to talk about the haunted toilet of Japan. We're going to go to the National Toy Hall of Fame. We're going to talk a little bit about toys and games today. I got a couple of different stories about that. Always fun. And then of course we always talk about food. So we're going to talk about some wine from Taco Bell and chocolate hamburgers from Burger King. Yeah, Karen, I know this is the kind of stuff you love.
It's a weird show, Paul, lining up.
Well, and I haven't even mentioned the sports that we're going to talk about with
yes.
John on What in the World of Sports. So just absolutely a fun show, real news, sometimes strange, always funny, but most importantly, this is all real news from the internet. And of course, if it's from the internet, it must be true. Yep. So yeah, it's exactly right, Karen. And then we'll play Bluff the co-host. So without further ado, let's get started, because we've got a lot of stuff to cover today. So this one comes from Florida, where the home of weird news. It's the heartbeat of weird news. After 13 years, the City Commission of Opelika, Florida, has overturned a ban on saggy pants. 13 years ago, they banned saggy pants. Now, you know what saggy pants are. Those are the ones where your underwear shows.
And more.
So, yeah. So they were banned 13 years ago. You can now have saggy pants in Opelika, Florida. However, Walmart shoppers must still wear underwear if they're going to wear their saggy pants. So just so you know, the dude. Now, do you remember when saggy pants and the song about saggy pants was a big deal?
You know,
Aaron, do you remember that song?
Wait a second.
Pants on the Ground?
Yeah, that was from American Idol.
From American Idol, that's right.
Yeah.
That was 13 years ago.
Really?
No, I'm sorry. 10 years ago, 2010. 2010. John doesn't remember it. So
I don't remember it at all.
I'm not going to ask him who sang it. It was sung by General Larry Platt, who it turns out was a big civil rights activist in Atlanta, Georgia. And he wrote the song. He wrote the song in 2002. So that's an 18-year-old song. That's how long saggy pants have been around. And he was against it. He was against saggy pants. He would appear on the streets of Atlanta at a major event like the Olympics. I think he was at the Olympics, and sing this song about pants on the ground, picking on people who had their pants on the ground. So it's called sagging. That's the term for it, the insider term. So in 2010, American Idol held tryouts in Atlanta, and someone convinced him to try out and sing the song. Now, they all knew he wasn't going to on the show, but this just absolutely sent that song into the viral song Hall of Fame. Everybody was singing Pants on the Ground after he appeared on American Idol. It hit number 46 on the Billboard 100. The guy's not even a singer. He's a civil rights activist. Yeah.
That's just something about us.
So, and people still sing it today. It's an anthem to the general and to saggy pants in general. So the thing that I liked about it, after all that, I go back to the original story, which comes from Opelika, Florida. Now, is that a name, Opelika? Would you admit that you were from Opelika?
Sounds like it's a Seminole Indian name.
Oh, very good, John. In fact, it really is a Seminole Indian name. Wow, they see it pays to come to rehearsal, doesn't it? So.
Oh, it does. It does, Paul. It does week after week.
Week after week. That's right. So you're absolutely right, John. Very good of you. Very astute. However, I bet you don't know the original Seminole name of Opelika. That is a shortened version that we white people came up with, the Europeans, because they couldn't pronounce the original name, which was, and I have to read it, Opatishawakalaka. Now, that won't fit on your driver's license, so they obviously, or on the license plate. So they had to shorten it. This is the actual city in Miami-Dade County. In fact, I was going to go off on a real tangent here. John Curtis, the guy who he was a big, the founder of Curtiss Wright Airlines, air manufacturer, big aircraft pioneer. He founded the city of Opelika after the area was flooded, and he somehow made a city over there. I just thought that was interesting that happened, but it didn't look like a good tangent, so I'm glad I didn't go that way. So
it's all right.
Speaking of tangents, let's go to Japan.
Okay.
The foreign heartbeat of weird news. So a theme park in Japan, this is wild, has opened what it claims to be the world's first and only haunted restroom. Now, here's how it works, because I know you're curious. You stand in line And while you're standing in line, you watch this guy walk into Taco Bell. Then he walks out of Taco Bell a little while later, and he walks into the restroom. And then he's in there for a little while. Then he walks out and he comes up to you and he says, "Okay, it's your turn." And you hit. I said, Karen is looking at me with that look of disbelief.
Go on.
No, that's not what happened.
Oh.
They have actors. They have someone. Now, you're in there by yourself. You can't go in with anybody else. And they have voices of someone who's pretending to be a spirit that haunts the bathroom. Now, to me, that's okay. That's not too bad. I would be more terrified if, like I sat down and then I heard voices coming from inside the toilet, which were saying, "Why did you flush me? You remember back when you were 6?" Or an alligator.
Or a snake.
Oh,
Or a snake. Now that would be scary. That would be scary. But the scariest part of all this is after you leave, some poor soul who works for the amusement park has to go in there and clean the place because it has to be disinfected after every use. So here's this poor guy or lady going in, trying to figure out what's fake, what's real of the stuff that's in there, and clean it up and get it into a presentable haunted state for the next unsuspecting person to come
It's
in.
a real dilemma.
To say the least, John, to say the least, a real dilemma. Now, so let's move on to a place that's a real dilemma, and that's Washington, D.C. Good segue, John. Thank you very much. I love this story. Now, this is great. This is right out of our era. In a new interview, and this comes from former President Jimmy Carter, who I think is like 97 or 98 years old, still alive and kicking and doing interviews. So he says in an interview, he admits that there was some marijuana smoking being done in the White House while he was there, but not by the president or by Mrs. Carter, but by his son, James Earl Carter III. And not inside the White House either. He went up on the roof of the White House and smoked marijuana with one and only Willie Nelson, who was a guest of the White House at the time. So they're up on the White House with a big doobie just puffing away. And they must have been doing some serious puffing because local Catholics saw the smoke and thought that Jimmy Carter was replaced by a new pope. So only the Catholics get that joke.
I get it.
Jimmy Carter never smoked pot. He may have smoked like maybe peanut shells or one of those Native American things that he normally doesn't talk about, like banana peels. But you would think that he smoked or did some illegal substances because of two stories that he used to tell. And one was that he saw a UFO. This happened in 1969, I think. This was before he was elected president. He was governor of Georgia, and he's out. I don't remember if it says where he was, but he saw this object. I love this story because it gets political. UFO stories don't get too political, but this is funny. Sounds like something that he may have planned. So he sees this UFO. He's out in the middle of nowhere. This bright white light shows up. So it hovers around and then it comes down very close to him. And then he says it changed from white to blue and then to red and then back to white. So here he is, future president of the United States. Oh, I saw a UFO. And guess what? It was red, white, and blue. I don't know.
He's too contrived.
It's a little contrived. And then it took off in the distance. Now, he claims that he made a report and actually had to give a report to not the CIA, whoever keeps track of UFOs at the time. I'm not sure who that was. So so that was one story. And then the other famous story was when he was out fishing on some lake and he hears a splash, and coming towards him swimming is a giant rabbit. Now, A, rabbits don't swim, okay? And B, it was a giant rabbit. So, and of course, there's no one with him, and this was before cell phone, so he has no camera with him. So he claims that he hit his oar in the water to splash it to chase the giant rabbit away. Now, this certainly sounds like our next president, our past president, was not smoking marijuana, but using something else that caused hallucinations. Which is another segue into Grace Slick visiting the White House. So if you remember, Grace Slick was the lead singer of
Jefferson Airplane.
Jefferson Airplane, thank you. And a well-known user of psychedelic substances.
That is correct.
So, yes. So you wouldn't think that someone like Grace Slick would be invited to the White House, and yet she was invited to the Nixon White House. So this was after Carter? Before Carter.
Before Carter.
Yeah, before Carter. Thank you. So she was invited to the White House by Tricia Nixon, President Nixon's daughter, because they were alumni of the same college, which was Finch College, an all-girls college in upstate New York. So probably, upscale place. Now, Grace attended the school under her maiden name, which was Grace Wing. So it's what they think is that whoever that Trish didn't know that Grace Wing was actually Grace Slick. So Grace Slick gets this great idea that so she gets invited for a tea by Tricia Nixon. Grace Slick, okay, rock and roll queen, gets invited to a tea at the White House. So of course, she's thinking, okay, what can I do? So she decides that she's going to bring LSD into the White House and put it in President Nixon's tea, assuming, of course, that President Nixon is going to attend a tea with his daughter in the White House. So obviously Grace wasn't thinking straight even back then. And then further evidence that she may not have been thinking straight, she was allowed to bring one guest. So she brings Abby Hoffman.
No.
Yes.
Hoffman. No,
Abby Hoffman, founder of the Weather Underground, one of the Chicago Seven who was arrested for protesting at the convention in 1968, well known to the FBI and the Secret Service and the media and everybody else. So here's Grace Slick walks up to the White House arm in arm with Abby Hoffman. And they take one look at her and one look at him and said, no. Sorry. Sorry, we know who you are. We know who you are. We have files on you. And they wouldn't let him in. So she never had a chance to have tea with Tricia Nixon. The president, by the way, did not attend the tea. So she wouldn't have had an opportunity to
poor Grace.
Could have altered history, John. Just think of what history might have been if Richard Nixon in 1970 took LSD.
Wow.
That is an interesting concept.
Isn't it?
Cool,
Yeah,
man.
that'd be a good that might be a good movie or a good novel, Nixon on LSD. I have to work on that. So anyway, as long as we're talking about celebrities, I got another celebrity story for you. So Mike Tyson, the boxer, John, as you would have pointed out, former heavyweight champion of the world. Mm-hmm. He does an interview with Joe Rogan recently on Joe Rogan's podcast, huge podcast. So he tells Joe Rogan that he believes, Mike Tyson, that human beings are descendants of space aliens. Now, this is Mike Tyson, okay? So I'm thinking there must be a reason why he believes that. And John, I think you know this. Mike Tyson is planning to fight again. He's 50 years old,
Well, yes, Paul. Not only that, so is Evander Holyfield. And
Evander Holyfield too.
is the boxer that he bit both of his ears.
Yeah.
back in
Oh yeah. So here's the yeah. So I'm gonna believe Mike Tyson, the ear biter. But I'm thinking, maybe he's using this story to psych out his opponent, Roy Jones Jr., who is a very, very good boxer.
Roy Jones Jr. is a very good boxer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, maybe Tyson's gonna he's trying to psych him out, make him think that maybe Tyson is an alien, and they get into the ring, and just when he's got Tyson up against the ropes and has both of his arms down so he can't hit him with a left or a right, and and all of a sudden an alien pops out of his chest and knocks Roy Tyson out, Roy Jones out. You don't buy that, huh?
That would be a spectacle to be seen.
That would be worth paying for the pay-per-view.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Hey, I also understand, if let me interject, that Mike Tyson is like on some campaign about legalizing or using legalized marijuana. I don't know if you heard anything about that.
That wouldn't surprise me.
There was a report that was out several months ago about him. I don't know if he's going to grow legalized marijuana or something along.
No, I think he's pro. Yeah, I do think that story sounds familiar. Yeah, it would. I mean, I'd be shocked if he was against it. I think that
right.
Mike, I think, has imbibed in a few substances. He was in prison, so who knows?
Just some educated guesses, I think.
Educated guess, yeah, that's right. So thinking about these alien and UFO stories, I mean, who, if you have to pick one to believe, would you believe Mike Tyson or former President Jimmy Carter? I guess I'd go with Carter. Yeah,
neither. Paul, I believe neither.
There you go. So John,
the giant rabbit could have been Harvey.
Oh yeah, very good, character. Very good.
Right, that's true.
From the movie.
Could be.
Yeah.
So.
Movie of the same name. Sure.
There you go. So now, John, I know you've been waiting for this Kardashian story. So
yes,
Kim Kardashian, one of the, she is the big, figuratively and literally, Kardashian. She had to post a video last week of her foot. And the reason why she had to post a video of her foot is because the internet was going crazy with this rumor that Kim Kardashian has 6 toes on each of her feet. Did you hear that, Karen?
Yeah, I heard that.
You heard that story, yeah. So why would they think this?
But wait a second. We have no fact that was really her foot, because all we saw was a foot.
Good point. Well, I have a picture of the 6-toed foot.
Oh.
So, yeah. Let's see if you can see it. I'm going to hold. There's the foot. There's Kim. Okay, so that makes the picture legitimate, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
So there's the foot. I'm going to get it as close as I can.
My
and
God.
if you look over there,
yeah,
that's a 6th little pinky toe. And I think you can see one on the other foot too.
Wow.
How about that? So that's the picture that was making the rounds on the internet that caused the world, basically, except for John, to think.
Thanks
You
for keeping me out of this.
You were busy when that story was out. I'm doing something important, I'm
Thanks
sure.
for keeping me out of that, Paul. I don't want to know about these things. These things trouble me.
So it turns out that but Kim Kardashian said, no, I have 5 feet, 5 toes. And Karen, yes, she posted a picture similar to that one of a foot with 5 toes on it. But yeah, she didn't do a pan up to the rest of her voluptuous, voluminous body so that we would know that it was her foot.
Right.
So good point, Karen. Well taken. She claims that maybe it was photoshopped. Who would do something like that to Kim Kardashian?
Nobody would do that.
No, not at all. So let's get to something more interesting. The National Toy Hall of Fame. Now, I've talked about this every year. Every year they induct 1 or 2 or 3 famous toys into the National Toy Hall of Fame. So the nominees for 2020 are in. And I'm going to read them off here. Let's see if you recognize any of them. Baby Nancy, Bingo, the Breyer Horses, Jenga, Light Bright, Masters of the Universe, My Little Pony, Risk, Sidewalk Chalk, Sorry, Tamagotchi, and Yahtzee. John, I know you played a number of those games.
Wait, yeah, listen, I'm really stumped on this one. You're telling me that Risk is not in the
Oh no, it's not yet, not yet.
Oh no, but it
Okay,
should.
this is one of the
Risk should be.
nominees, like the Rock Hall of Fame.
Oh
This
yeah.
is one of
Oh,
the nominees. You like Risk? You're
I
a
like
Risk
Risk.
person.
I like Sorry. Those
Sorry,
great games. Those are great
Sorry
games.
is actually based on an ancient Indian game. I didn't know that. That was one of my off the beaten path stories I was going to do, but I like Bingo better. Karen, how about you? You did you have a My Little Pony? No, you're not a My Little Pony.
No, that was after my generation.
Yeah.
But
How about
I like
Sidewalk
Yahtzee.
Chalk?
I like
Yahtzee. That's another good one.
Yahtzee's a good one.
Yep.
Sure.
Yahtzee's actually based on an old Puerto Rican game, which I didn't realize.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of these games are based. In fact, the one I'm going to talk about is as well, and that's Bingo. Now,
Okay.
yeah, very, very familiar to all of us Catholics. We're going to talk a little bit about. So Bingo is classified as a lottery game, and it's based on an Italian game, John. It's called, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, Il Gioco del Lotto d'Italia. And I'm not sure what that means, but it was played in Italy in the 1500s.
Wow.
Yeah. Now in 18th century France, they played a similar game with cards and tokens. And then in the 19th century, it moved to Germany. They had a game. Now the Germans, to hide the fact that they were playing a game, they claimed that it was a way to teach kids about numbers, about spelling and names and multiplication tables. That's what they said.
I get that.
Yeah. The modern version of Bingo was invented in 1929 by, and this is the American version, by Edwin Lowe, who was a toy salesman in Brooklyn, New York. And he saw a game being played at a carnival in Atlanta, Georgia, called Beano. It was called Beano because the markers were beans. And you basically covered numbers on a card. So this is very similar to it, Bingo. He came up with the standard Bingo card of 5x5 and putting the numbers in it. And he changed it from Beano to Bingo because he liked that and he heard somebody say that once. And he started selling it, of course, 24 cards to a pack, I guess, plus a bag of markers, and eventually became rich. So he hired a mathematician. He hired a mathematician from Columbia University to help him make unique Bingo cards, because you got to make sure that the numbers are random and the cards are not repeated. And they came up with 6,000 Bingo cards.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite a few. So it became, and this is, John and I know about this, we're both Catholics. Catholic churches all have Bingo. Became popular in 1934. That's how far back it goes. So not long after Bingo became popular in the United States, a Catholic priest in Pennsylvania knew Edwin Lowe, and Lowe showed him the game. And this priest liked it so much that he wanted one of the games to help raise money for his church. So he set it up, and that's exactly what they're used for, allegedly, as well as the social aspect, to raise money for the church. So every game, the church takes a portion of the what you pay to buy to rent a card. And in 1934, more than 10,000 Bingo games were played around the country every week. That's how fast it spread to Catholic churches, desperate to get people to put, who weren't putting money in the basket on Sunday, to put it in a different basket on Wednesday.
Right, no kidding.
Wow. Some place where they could sit and smoke and yell and swear, and
it's a very competitive game.
Very competitive game. Oh, certainly is. Yes. So the lovely Donna tells a story. I believe her aunt and uncle pretty much supported themselves in their retirement playing bingo. So they were good. So now, to tell you how big this is, they estimate $90 million is spent on bingo games every week in the United States. $90 million.
Every week? Wow.
Every week. Yeah. Now this is, pre-coronavirus, but right up until then, that's a lot of money.
Sure it is.
Yeah. Wow. I want a chunk of it.
I know. Yeah. Well, I want a piece of it. Yeah. We need to figure out how to do this for What in the World of Bingo, maybe. Okay. So let's move on to some food. Well, I always like to talk about food. So this story comes from the United States, unfortunately. This one bothers me. The company that makes Peeps, marshmallow Peeps, everybody's favorite Easter, even Karen, who doesn't celebrate Easter, will eat marshmallow Peeps.
No.
Because now you don't eat marshmallow Peeps?
Oh, they're terrible.
Oh, come on. You don't like them? Oh, okay. Well, John, how about you? Are you a Marshmallow Peep fan?
Absolutely. Love the Peeps.
Yeah, I love the Peeps.
They come in that little box. With the
that's a single serving, right?
Well, I could eat a couple boxes if you let me have enough time.
I know, yeah. Why did they bother creasing them, making it look like there's five Peeps?
That's a great question. That's a great question, Paul. But I love Peeps, though. Those are great.
Well, guess what, John? You can't get Peeps anymore. Because the Just Born Quality Confections Company had to shut down their plant because of the coronavirus. So there's no Halloween Peeps. They're not making any Christmas Peeps. And if this keeps up, they won't be making any Easter Peeps as well. This is, if there was ever a reason to get people to wear a mask, this is it. We need our Peeps. So please wear a mask so that the factory opens up so that we can have our Peeps.
I'm right behind you on that one, Paul.
So I looked at the name, the Just Born Quality Confection, and I'm thinking, okay, they make Peeps. Peeps are little birds that were just born. That must be where the name came from. Au contraire, it's actually the name of the guy who founded it, a Russian immigrant by the name of Sam Born, and spelled just like the word B-O-R-N, in 1953 founded the company. He basically bought the rights to a handmade Peep, and he knew how to make machines that would automate the process. So he began manufacturing Peeps in 1953. So we always like to talk about world records on What in the World.
Well, before you go further, I just want you to know that both Terry and Donna both agree they would only eat Peeps if candy corn was the only other alternative. I totally agree with them.
I can vouch for that. Yeah, I can see that. And that's boy, the bar's pretty low when you use candy corn. I mean, as your bar. Oh, even I won't eat candy corn, even with chocolate syrup on it.
Oh,
we're going to talk about
that's gross.
Anyway, the world record for eating Peeps set in 2017, 255 Peeps in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, John, 255 Peeps.
Whoever did that has to have strong jaws.
Oh, you better believe it. Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know if they were allowed to use a liquid, but they're not exactly saliva generative.
Oh no,
that's a word. Yeah.
It's a lot of effort to eat one of them.
It sure does. Yeah, that's right.
255. Oh boy.
Well, speaking of things that are pretty disgusting, we'll go to Taco Bell. Taco Bell is coming out with their own line of wine. If you can believe that. If you ever wondered what goes good with tacos from Taco Bell, it's a wine from Taco Bell called Jalapeno Noir. And they're coming out with it as part of the promotion for their new toasted cheesy chalupas. So these are coming out in November. The new wine, Jalapeno Noir, is also coming out in November. Now, you would think that the drink of choice for tacos from Taco Bell would be Corona beer, but obviously the virus killed Corona beer, sadly. So it'll be available for a limited time only in Canada, of all places. And then hopefully for fans of jalapeno wine and chalupa, cheesy chalupas, it'll be available in the United States. Now get a load of this.
Fine. What would that taste like?
A bottle of this stuff costs $19. Now, at Taco Bell, if I'm not mistaken, you can get 100 tacos for $19.
That seems about right.
Yeah,
That's about right.
That's by far the most expensive thing that in history at Taco Bell. So, but people are going to be buying it because it's Taco Bell.
It's Taco Bell.
And that's not the weirdest food we're going to talk about today. The weirdest food, Karen, this one's for you, comes from Taiwan. Burger King in Taiwan, back in 2018, as an April Fool joke, came out with a chocolate Whopper. I have a picture.
I am sick.
I have a picture of a chocolate Whopper. Doesn't that look delicious?
No.
A Whopper covered with Hershey syrup. Oh, yum.
Oh, that's awful.
Well, John, not to the Taiwanese, it's not. It turns out what started as an April Fool joke was so popular that it's now a standard item on the menu. Chocolate Whoppers.
Does the Whopper also have the burger? Does a burger go with it?
Yeah, there was a burger underneath there. You were focused on the chocolate. I could tell. There's a burger there. There's a burger. There's lettuce. There's cheese.
Tomato. I saw.
Tomato. Yeah, that's right. And then
Mayonnaise.
all covered with chocolate. So conceivably, you could make one at home.
I would not want to.
No, I would. That wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, that sounds weird. But I've eaten a peanut butter hamburger.
Oh
yeah, it's on the menu in a number of finer establishments.
No.
And we do eat. I've also eaten a pierogi hamburger, which is a burger with cheese and a pierogi on it.
That sounds all right.
Yeah, so that's right. So as long as we're on the subject of chocolate, Karen, this will bring you back.
Okay.
Everybody remembers the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and all the bad things that happened there.
Right.
The Lindt, Lindt, that's the high class chocolate, at least the most expensive ones at Walgreens when I go to buy Valentine candy. The Lindt Home of Chocolate Museum and Tour Experience, there's a name for you, in Kielburg, Switzerland, is now open for business, open for tours. You can go in, you can see chocolate being made, all that good stuff. But the best part, Karen, this is for you. They have the world's largest chocolate fountain. Get ready to feast your eyes on more chocolate than you've ever seen in your lifetime. From the ceiling to the floor.
Wow.
9.3 meters. That's 30 feet of chocolate. 1,000 liters. That's 264 gallons of liquid chocolate falling constantly. You could just stand there and
inhale.
Breathe it in.
Right. There you go. Inhale. That's right, Karen. Good one. Good one.
That's it. Now, of course, they, like Willy Wonka, they have to have a filter in there in case some, greedy little kids jump in and try to swim in it. So but that's, so one last thing on candy, and that's the guy who's buried in gum. This is juicy fruit gum. You've heard of juicy fruit gum, John. You've heard of juicy fruit gum, made by the Wrigley Gum Company.
Correct.
A World War II veteran who's in his 90s is planning his own funeral. He wants to be buried in a casket decorated like a juicy fruit gum package because he was given juicy fruit gum when he fought in World War II, and that helped him get through the war. And it became his favorite candy. He's been chewing it ever since. He loves it so much. He wants to be buried in what looks like a giant package of juicy fruit gum.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad.
Doesn't sound so bad at all.
No.
Wrigley's didn't like the idea.
Oh,
They had to get lawyers involved to get permission, the copyright and all that other nonsense, so that he could do it. So they finally broke down, and they're going to allow this World War II veteran to be buried in a Wrigley's juicy fruit gum decorated casket.
oh, how nice.
Yeah. So I was wondering, because I like juicy fruit gum. I don't chew gum that often, but juicy fruit.
It's
is
a good
one
gum.
kind-
It's
good gum. Yeah. As far as gum goes, juicy fruit gum was invented in 1893. That's how long juicy fruit gum has been around. Now, my question to both of you, Karen, have you had juicy fruit gum?
Yes.
Yeah. So you remember the flavor,
Yes.
okay, and you know the name,
Yes.
juicy fruit. What kind of fruit do you think is in juicy fruit gum?
Only the
Or-
juiciest.
Good answer. Good non-committal answer. What kind are they hoping that you think is in it? How about that?
Boy, I can't hazard a guess. I can't really think of it. I remember having juicy fruit.
Remember that flavor, very
the
distinctive
flavor,
flavor.
sure.
It
But I
just
very
can't
sweet
assume.
flavor. Yeah.
The flavor that they're going for, and they won't admit this, so this is from secret inside information that is leaked out. The flavor that they're going for is a combination of bananas and pineapple.
Mm,
Yeah, I know. I felt the
Oh,
same
maybe.
way.
That sounds like a reach to me.
Yeah. Now, people younger than us who have tried other things say that it tastes like jackfruit. Now, I've seen jackfruit in like Trader Joe's and places like that, Whole Foods. It's a member of the fig family, so like a bigger fig. I can't remember tasting it, but I've tasted plenty of figs, and juicy fruit does not taste like figs.
no.
So I'm not sure that that's what it is. And then there's another rumor that there's a hint of peach in the juicy fruit gum. So bananas, pineapples, and peach. I don't get
Can't
it.
make the connection. Can't make the
Yeah.
connection.
Of course, if you read the label, there's no fruit was harmed in the making of juicy fruit
Oh
gum.
my God. Oh. Well, at least
It
we didn't
contained, yeah,
early
that's
today, Paul. We're
that
getting out
flavor.
early on. That's good.
Yeah, that
Good.
flavor comes from, get ready, isoamyl acetate, which is a sometimes known as banana oil, but it's not from bananas, but that's what they call it. Which is, believe it or not, this compound is also found in jackfruit. So that's where they make that connection.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's I'm not sure if I buy it. So anyway, so I have one world record for us, and that's an Oregon man, Guinness World Record for swoggling, which is swimming while juggling. He completed 101 catches, juggling 5 balls above the water before he dropped one, and he broke a record. The previous record was 25. Now, this is so unbelievable to me. There's a picture of him juggling 5 balls while swimming on his
Wow.
back. Now, as someone who knows how to swim and also knows how to juggle, if that were me, it would be called drowning. not juggling. I can't imagine doing that. It's unbelievable. And doing the breaststroke, I would have been even more impressed if he was doing the backstroke. The breaststroke when you're face down and juggling into the water. So I'm thinking, doing stuff in water like that is good exercise. It's good aerobic exercise. People run. Karen, I don't know if you've done this for your knee, but a lot of people will do therapy in a pool for the resistance. Good aerobic exercise. Now, I don't have a pool, but I was thinking, it's been raining quite a bit around here, and I get a lot of mud in my backyard. So I'm thinking, geez, I wonder if there were a way for me to exercise in mud as the resistance. Because there was a lot of mud, as the beautiful Lily Donna will attest to. And then when I'm done, there's a hose outside. I could just hose myself down, get all the mud off, and come in, and I'd be fine. So I figured there's got to be some sports associated with mud that I just don't know about, because there's a sport for everything. So I always, when I need information on sports, I always go to my good friend John DiNallo, and I said, John, are there any sports that use mud that maybe I could participate in my backyard? And John said he found one.
I did find one. I'm glad that you asked that question. However, Paul, you cannot participate in the sport.
I can't. Why not?
Because you're a male. Because the sport is female mud wrestling.
Female.
No.
Now, you may ask, is mud wrestling still a thing? And the answer,
I didn't know it was a thing to begin with, so it's still a thing.
It is a thing. It is a thing.
Yeah.
It's been around for a while. And the answer is that when you refer to like mud wrestling, what comes to your mind right away?
Mud.
Well, no, females.
Females.
Could be a male slant
Females
on
in
it,
mud.
but think of that. That's really, and some people actually say it was designed to satisfy the sensual pleasures of men.
No.
Because it's a woman only sport.
Women only? What?
I was not able to find any information on male mud wrestling. None.
Oh.
While we're doing this, John, I'm gonna be checking on my phone. I bet you I can find some. But go ahead.
I mean, I guess you can. Anything's possible.
I mean, Karen will agree. This sounds pretty interesting.
Well, wait a minute. We're talking about something
that.
that's mainstream. Mainstream is what it is.
Mainstream. Oh, okay.
Well, but it is. According to Wikipedia, mud wrestling is defined as a physical confrontation, either fighting or wrestling, that occurs in either mud or a mud pit. And the popular modern interpretation specifies that participants wrestle while wearing minimal clothing and usually going barefoot, with the emphasis on presenting an entertainment spectacle as opposed to a physically challenging activity.
Why isn't this
Sounds
on
like a
Monday night?
Well, I mean, because you can think of it, the opponent really is not unable to continue the match because of being overly involved in the activity. I mean, the venues for competition are usually social, where equal numbers of male and female spectators will watch the activity.
Oh.
So it's not just males only. Females.
It's a popular sport among women.
Well, yes, it is. Yes,
wow.
It is. And there's also a variation of mud wrestling, and it's actually involves the use of gelatin instead of mud. Now wait.
Jello Wrestling? Are you saying?
I am telling you the truth here. I speak the truth here today. Let me explain. So this form of wrestling is known as Jello Wrestling in the United States. In the United Kingdom, it is known as Jelly Wrestling. And it is also noted that other foods, such as creamed corn, pudding, and even mashed potatoes, have also been used in similar events. So these are things that have taken place. Wrestling with these foods. Now,
John has put a lot of research into this, Karen. We need to let him go on.
I'm a historian by schooling, so I'm a researcher. So anyway, there's
so is there a history? How long has this been around, John?
Well, I can tell you this, Paul. There is an actual organization that was a professional mud wrestling association, and it was founded not too far down the road from us in Akron, Ohio, in the 1930s.
No.
kidding. Organized mud
Absolutely.
wrestling. from
Organized, yeah.
Akron,
Go ahead.
Ohio.
But let me tell you,
Saturday afternoon. Be
I have
there.
to go back to another point though. There is another variation of wrestling with different substances. In Turkey, there is a thing called oil wrestling. Now, to my understanding, the only participants in these wrestling matches are females.
Wow.
There's no notation of males, at least in a public venue, doing this. I'll leave it at that. But
Okay.
as a part of pop culture, mud wrestling was popular in France. And there was a TV show in France called Fort Boyard. Now, I saw Fort Boyard and I didn't have the heart to go any further to see what it was like. But if you have
Okay,
an
we believe
interest
that.
in finding out more about this, I mean, I would welcome that. Also, wait a minute. In the 1990s, the Spanish TV game show El Gran Juego de la Oca featured wrestling in a mud pit as one of the various challenges they had. They had various athletic events, but that was one of the events also. And also, I am not familiar with this movie, but there was a movie that was done. It's called All the Marbles, and it deals with the subject of women in professional wrestling. And one important scene in that movie, depicts a mud wrestling match. Women wrestling
In the movies.
each other in mud.
Wow.
Now, for all of you younger people out there,
We're still watching.
well, exactly. Wait a minute. In PlayStation 2 video game called Rumble Roses, a fighting game with an all-female cast, there is a stage where the characters can have a mud wrestling match. So it's even pervaded video games.
That's
And also,
interesting.
wait a minute, everyone remembers this movie. Okay, Stripes. Stripes was made in
I remember that.
1981, starring Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, and also John Candy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, in one of the scenes, John Candy faces off against six kickboxing wrestlers in a boxing ring that was filled with mud.
You know, I did. I remember that. That's
very
right.
good, very accurate.
That's
Very
right.
accurate. Okay, now also in 2003, Miller Lite, there was a commercial that they did which ended with two women wrestling in a mud pit. An uncensored version of this commercial had the two girls falling in love and making out.
Oh, I never made the air. Yeah, I guess.
It was uncensored, obviously. But finally, I have one final point. And it also segues, Paul, back to food. Lance Foods and Tom Snacks.
The snack people. Yeah.
Yes, they featured a mud wrestler. And the mud wrestler's name is Velvetsky. And Velvetsky appears on a cover of their potato chip bags.
Oh.
Now what? Okay, John. Now I got you. I got you on that one. No, good stuff. Good stuff. But
okay.
I knew John was going to try and trip me up here on this mud wrestling thing. So I did a little bit of investigation ahead of time. And two things. One, the thing you said about men. It turns out that there is actually male mud wrestling in India, and I got a picture of course, of two male mud wrestlers, and this is actually an organized sport in India, and they hold an international competition where people from other countries actually come and wrestle in the mud for cash prizes.
I didn't find any of this.
But this is the one, John. This is the one. John sent me a little note. He was going to be talking about somebody named Velvetsky, and I said, "Oh, a Polish mud wrestler." Hoping I could get a good Polish joke out of it. Well, it turns out, John, her name's not Velvetsky. It's Velvet Sky. And Velvet Sky.
Velvet Sky. Velvet Sky. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wait, John, there's more. So Velvet Sky was a real wrestler. She was a real person who did both wrestling in a ring and also mud wrestling. And I have a picture of Velvet Sky mud wrestling because I knew you'd want to see what Velvet Sky looked like.
My gosh.
That's her covered with mud. So
Let me see that again. Let me see that again. That's Velvet Sky.
Velvet Sky, that's right. Now, Velvet Sky is famous for wrestling. Let me make sure I get her name correct. Lacey Von Erich. Now, John, does the name Von Erich ring a bell to you?
Yes, it does. And I'm sure that she's related to Waldo Von Erich.
She is the granddaughter of Fritz Von Erich.
Oh, Fritz Von Erich.
The grandfather, who is the founding father of the Von Erich wrestling family, of which there were 3 sons. He had 5 sons total. 3 of them were wrestlers.
One had to be Waldo, I would assume.
No, Waldo. Turns out Waldo is a fake. He adopted the name because he wanted to take advantage of the Von Erich name. Turns out they proved that he's not related to them at all.
Really?
And then the granddaughter is this Lacey Von Erich. Now, it turns out that there's a Von Erich curse because all 4, there were 6 sons. 5 of the 6 had tragic deaths. They all passed before Fritz did. So there's the curse of the Von Erichs. There's also, Fritz Von Erich was also called the Claw when he wrestled in Japan. And there's pictures of him. I should have brought the picture of him doing his claw hold. I don't know if you remember that. He would grab the opponent by the chest with his hand and pretend to be clawing their heart out.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just remember, in the 60s watching studio wrestling.
Yes.
And of course, Ernie the Big Cat Ladd, who was a former professional football player.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He was not always, but he had a lot of matches against Waldo Von Erich. And that was that person who you said was a fake. He took
was a fake.
Not really. Wow. So
anyway, thank you for that inspiration. I knew I was going to get you on that one, but great stuff, John. Great stuff on mud wrestling, by the way. Thank you so much for that. You just never know what's a sport and what's not. Now I know we're running short on time here, I want to get to Bluff the co-host.
Oh, good.
Which is our weekly game. Bluff the co-host. I have 3 stories. May or may not be similar to the ones I've been doing, but in this case, they may or may not be real. And it's up to John and Karen to decide whether they're real or not. And then I reveal the answer, and we all get excited. You can wager at home. We're allowing wagering next week. So,
if you're hard pressed for entertainment, you can do that.
That's exactly right. So let's go. Story number 1. There are good masks, there are bad masks, and then there are what the hell is that mask? A man in England came up with one of the last kind when he boarded a bus wearing a live boa constrictor wrapped around his neck that was coiled high enough to cover his mouth and nose. While it looked legal and was certainly clever, health officials who saw pictures of it on social media said the live snake did not meet the guidelines of England's mandatory mask rule. Before anyone gets an idea, snakeskin mask and feather boas are not allowed either. At the next stop, police removed the man and his snake from the bus and placed the man in a 14-day quarantine. The snake was taken to a zoo where it's being trained to socially distance in a snake pit. Other than that last line, real or bluff? The man who wears a boa constrictor around his face as a face mask on a bus in England. Karen, we'll go with you first.
I'm going to say it's true, going with the lovely Donna's idea of it's so stupid, it must be true.
Okay, good. So Karen says it's true. How about you, John? Real or bluff?
Paul, I'll tell you what, this story's killing me. You know what? I hope it is true. I think it's true, and I hope it's true. Tell me it's true, because I could just visualize this.
It's true, John.
All right.
Yay!
Karen, we're starting off strong here. We're starting
How
off
about
strong.
that? Yeah,
Right,
there
that's
you
great.
go.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
boy, I couldn't believe it either, but I saw a picture of it. So
Wow.
obviously, got to be true. All right, story number 2. Archaeologists in Egypt are starting to find mummies buried with smaller mummies that are not humans or animals, but meaty snacks for the deceased to eat in the afterlife. A recent tomb opening uncovered mummified beef rib, mummified veal cutlet, mummified sliced goat, and mummified roast chicken, all in little sarcophagus containers shaped like the animals they once were. While the pieces of meat looked a lot like jerky snacks, archaeologists found that they were treated with the same embalming chemicals used on the human mummies and would have given anyone eating them a bad case of the Tutankhamun's revenge. So, mummified short ribs buried with mummies so they had something to eat in the afterlife. John, you're the historian. Real or bluff?
I'm going to say it's real. And I'm going to say that there are several instances that I've seen going to museums of food. I wouldn't say necessarily that food, but food is being things that were mummified with these mummies. So I'm going to say true.
Oh, that's right. You are a big museum guy. Okay. Oh, geez. Well, you may have seen something like this. Karen, what do you think?
I totally agree because they inside their casket or whatever you call it, they would take their possessions with them. So I would think they'd have to take food with them.
But short ribs?
Why not? How about bagels and lox?
Yeah, right.
I didn't know Egyptians ate short ribs. That was so I sliced goat, I would believe.
Oh, okay.
But so you're both right. That's another real story.
Hey,
Oh, hey, Karen, I tell you what,
We're doing
this is unbelievable.
Oh, 2 in a row for both of you. This is oh, okay. So we're tied right here, and
Okay.
this is the third question, which means points are doubled. So
Sure.
John, you could really celebrate on this one if you get it. So you ready? Story
I'm
number
ready.
3.
I'm ready.
All right. With sports teams canceling games or playing them with no fans in the stadiums or arenas, guys are having a difficult time replacing the giant kiss cam wedding proposal with something special. That's why Oscar Mayer has come to the rescue and is offering its iconic Wienermobiles free for wedding proposals. Just call the Oscar Mayer headquarters number on a package of wieners, and you'll soon be on your knee in front of a 27-foot hot dog. To make it even more special, Oscar Mayer will also cater the event as long as everyone wears masks and socially distances. For a limited time, Oscar Mayer will even throw in the catering for free if the lady being proposed to says, "Hot dog, I'm getting married." Real or bluff? Karen, I know you're a big fan of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile.
Oh, yes. Rich and I applied. They were looking for drivers during COVID.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
applied,
really?
but they never responded.
Oh, that's too bad. Oh, I would have been great. I would have
Yeah.
gone to see that.
That would have been fun. I have to say real. I don't know why, but I just have to say real.
Oh, real from Karen. All right, John, this is it. Oh, the pressure's on.
My first instinct was too stupid, too silly. But I think it's going to be true because Oscar Mayer is a national brand, and I'm sure if people are getting married, of course they are, a wedding proposal with the wiener. I mean, for more publicity, I'm saying it's true. It's got to be true,
So to speak.
so to speak. It's a manner of.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. So give us the.
Okay, so John says it's true as well. Are you both saying that I would come up with 3 real stories that were so weird They have to be true.
Absolutely, you
And
would.
you know why? Because it's a wrinkle. Because I don't think there's ever been a show that I can recall in the last 6 months where they've all been true.
Oh,
There's always been a so I'm going with a pattern on this.
John has been studying this, just like he studied mud wrestling. He's been studying the strategy of bluff the co-host. And guess what, John? It paid off.
Whoa!
Hey,
3 in a row. Perfect
you know what?
scores
I'm
for
sleeping
both
for a
Karen
week.
and John.
I'm sleeping for a week. I'm good, man. I'm good.
John's going to be like James Earl Carter up on the White House all week, man, higher than a kite.
I'll tell you what, that is a great story, and I'm going to be telling my friends about that when they haven't listened to this show about that guy in the White House smoking the weed with Willie Nelson. I mean, I can just
the weed with
visualize
Willie
that.
Nelson. Isn't that something?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
congratulations to both of you and everybody at home who won as well. Boy, I guess my work's cut out for me because I'm 0 for 3 to this week. But so what? You know, we're here to have fun, and I hope that's what we had today.
Oh, it was a great show.
Great. Thank you, John, for all that you bring to the show. Great stories, great responses. Karen, thank you for everything that you do for NewClevelandRadio.net.
Absolutely.
When you tune in, please tune in to some of the other podcasts Karen has. They're all great. Enjoy them on whatever platform you're listening. Please come and visit us again at What in the World. Watch and listen to our old shows. You'll have a great time. And thanks again to everybody and to both of you. And we'll see you next week.
Everybody
Thanks, Paul.
stay safe. Take care.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.